Hello, welcome back to another episode of Walk in Christ Show, a show where we inspire the masses become financially free while building God's kingdom. On the show today, we have Mr. Jerome Hill, also known as DJ Rome. DJ Rome is a passionate Christian DJ from Nashville, Tennessee, who has been making a name for himself in the music industry with his love for his love and spread of the gospel. On this episode, we'll be discussing Mr. Jerome's career so far as a DJ and how he has leveraged his platform to spread the gospel. So thank you for being here today, Mr. Jerome.
Yeah, glad to be here. Honored to be interviewed, and just honored to really see kind of what you do and kind of dive in and build our relationship more. And like you said, just enjoying like just continuing the mission of making Jesus famous through DJing.
Yes.
You can see that.
Yes, yes. How are you doing? How was your week? How was your week?
Uh, week is all right. Week is all right. Week is always up, always hills and valleys. Not always, but sometimes hills and valleys. Work. I teach full time, so going through that and turning in lesson plans and meetings and all these things and like getting these things done. I teach college and career readiness, so really getting up, like kind of like um, really getting outside of what the actual work and like actually building relationships and trying to motivate students. So this is kind of how my week was going, and like I serve a youth, so helping with them. But just a mixture of things that I work a little bit of working out. So it's
That's
been
good.
a good week. Been a good week.
That was really good. And thank you for your service, being a teacher. I want to kind of, I guess we can start with that. How do you manage, having a 9 to 5, being a teacher, and also pursuing a career in DJ? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, so I manage that by I guess really just like for DJing, um, DJing for me has happened in spurts. It's never been like, oh, you're DJing every weekend. No, it's always
Yeah.
been like like June, like last, I think it was last June and July. Last June. Um, it was 1 month where I was DJing back to back to back, like every single weekend. So I just manage it by just kind of gearing up and preparing for the waves, and knowing that like like it's most of my opportunities happen on the weekend. So it doesn't really conflict with my teacher schedule. And also with teaching, I'm out of school at about 2:30 every day. And then also for me, I made this post about being at coffee shops. So not every Saturday, but some Saturdays I go to a coffee shop, um, and I'll just game plan and I'll just figure out stuff and just kind of do things and work on marketing and kind of develop any strategies and skills that I feel like kind of take me off the ground, watch videos, listen to new music, like plan posts, create ideas, create content. And then also just kind of like um, aiming, like also with social media, my stories, not every morning, but probably 6 to 7 mornings out of the week, I always post something like encouraging to like help people kind of grow and develop. And so that kind of helps me to continue to engage people, and have a 9 to 5. Which
Yeah.
9 to 5 is more like a 7 to 3 o'clock, to be honest. But and have that, but just kind of like kind of getting that rhythm, it really helps me to kind of build my career. But also marketing is like marketing is my background. So that kind of helps me to be a little more efficient with promoting and things of that sort. So I also have like a really good booking process. So it's easy to manage both because of that.
Okay. And I guess my next question, do you see that certain skills that is required of you as a teacher, you can also duplicate it as a DJ? And how do you duplicate those skills as a DJ?
So for me, um, that's a really good question. Um, as far as teaching, I'm trying to think if there are any skills that I've used that transferred over. Actually, I can't say this. I can say that with teaching, I'm in front of people all the time talking. communicating on a daily basis. So when I do get in front of bigger crowds, or when I do get out there, I've had so much practice on a day-to-day basis from a professional standpoint. Meaning I'm being evaluated consistently. So I've had so much experience in kind of not really scrutiny, but like I get scrutiny from like students and hearing from them, and like hearing from admin and hearing different things and different critiques that they have and how I can improve. It really helps me like when I get on the stage and I can get in front of people and I can feel confident in who I am. And so it's just a lot easier because of that, because I have so much experience talking in front of people. I'm very comfortable getting on stages. I'm very comfortable being talking to people and being myself, because I know like I feel like if I can teach, the places not the places I've taught, but if I can teach where I've taught, then I can also get on stages and kind of do the same thing. Like it's secondary because when I DJ, these people want to hear, or at least for the most part, want to hear what I'm doing. Versus teaching, if I can reach them and kind of figure out what connects with them, it can kind of in my mind kind of develop this like idea of like understanding how to be effective. Because I made this post about that one time. But it kind of helps to be effective, like in communication, kind of reading people. So yeah.
I think you're definitely right. I feel like there is some skills as a teacher in terms of like being able to read emotional intelligence, because you deal with a lot of different students. And when you're dealing with a crowd, you need to be able to feel the vibe the crowd is feeling. Are they feeling fast music? Are they feeling slow music? And, I want to kind of ask, do you talk to your students about like music in the regard? Like, have you had those kind of conversations with your students, or you keep those two separate careers separate?
I tried to. My some students always find out some type of way. Like I taught at a school in another school in Nashville last school year, and one of the students, like only one of them, found out. He was like calling me DJ Rome, DJ Rome. I was like, I'm trying to I try to keep my professional career and my side hustle separate. It's not like a fear or anything like that. It's just like I just personally don't want. I just want. It's not that I want those identities to be separate. Like when I'm outside of school, yes, those identities can mesh together. But when I'm in school, I kind of want those to be separate. But this year, I posted a TikTok from when I DJ in Orlando, and I think a student saw it. Or it popped up on the algorithm, and then next thing I know, I got like 10 people coming to me, calling me DJ Rome. So now it's like I do start talking about music now with the students. They'll ask me, who's your favorite artist? I'll say, I like Caleb Gordon, I like KB, Andy Mineo. But it's not a consistent conversation. But they will ask me a little bit more now. But everybody, it feels like most of the seniors know that I teach, know. And so that's the one thing. But I don't really talk about music a lot with them because I just don't feel like, not saying our CHH isn't good. I just feel like it's just kind of difficult to kind of present new music to people who only listen to or who mostly listen to secular music. Unless they're like, unless they just discover it, or unless they already are fans. Sometimes it's kind of hard to do that. And that's something I've seen personally as a DJ. It's not like a bias or anything like that, but it's just something that I've seen from people, is that it's just really hard to get people to like Christian music in general. So,
and I definitely can see. I could definitely relate to that. Because even me, growing up, I'm looking back as like when I got introduced to Christian music, or just Christian like hip hop, R&B. I think it's about 10 years ago. About 10 years, so I'm about 25. So about 15 years of my life, I didn't know that genre of music even exists. And even, every day as I'm doing research, you realize how diverse it is. Like you have so many different people in it, and you're like,
man,
it's like how many music? Like I wish there's like a Google search that you can search out how many Christian artists are there, and it's just a lot. And I want to ask, being that Christian music is still on the verge of still being discovered by the massive. Why do you think that is, that people don't necessarily, jump right into Christian music? It's more of like the Beyonce, the Rihanna's, that jumps out to them versus a Caleb Gordon, Lecrae. Why do you think that is the case?
Personally, I think it's because it's what people grew up on as well. I think it's what people grew up on. And then the mainstream music industry, I'm sorry. They have such a major platform that, and it's so fixated in the minds of like our community. It's like McDonald's, or if you just think just branding in general. I'm sure you know a lot about branding, but if you think about branding in general, they have such a dominance over the community that people don't really want to, like, they don't want to have to work hard to like discover new things. Most people, they just like the music that is presented to them, and they just kind of, they like what's hot, and they don't want to. They're not. The average person is not really pursuing like new music like that. Like, I always categorize music fans into like three categories. 50% is just people who just like, pop music, just what's hot on the radio. They're like, oh, this. And then the other 25% out of that 100 are people who are somewhat music connoisseurs. They want a little more lyrical depth. But then there's that other 25% out of that 100%, and they want lyricism. They want depth. They want, they care about the artist's story. They care about, they're like, those are like the super fans of just music in general. And when you have that big 50%, and the majors like Rihanna and Beyonce, all of them have a big piece of that 50%, it just kind of creates this like small space for Christian music to kind of start to have to peck away. It's almost like the word market share. So it's market share. Now I think the last 3, 4, 5 years, I think Christians have been pegging away at that. Like Jonathan Moreno's, Caleb Gordon, Lecrae, and Kirk Franklin is still, just pecking away at that. I think now with social media, and with Maverick City and all those people, like, they're starting to peck away. You're starting to see more. Like, I think the Kingdom Tour is probably one of the single greatest things that they could have done for Christian music, out of all the things that have been done, is because a lot of powerhouses got together, so they're able to expand and get ideas from each other, and expand the kingdom and expand our market share because of that. And so that's, to me, that's the reason why, is because of that, is because of simple answer is market share. Secular music just has a fair share of market share. Like, you look at the Grammys, no Christian music is being presented, with the awards aren't being presented on the during the primetime showing. They're not even from what I saw, they're not even in the main room, like, presenting the awards. And so that's really what it boils down to. It just boils down to market share.
No, yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, I like the fact that you spoke about market share, because something that's been in the conversation a lot is how Christian music in general can grow. I guess I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you this question first. What are some advice that you would give to a Christian artist upcoming, who wants to get out there, from your experience and, from the different people you listen to, that you can tell the people, like, this is what they do, some tactics to do in order to grow and, in order to help pack away at this market share?
Collaborate. If artist wants to get off the ground, just in our space, I say collaborate. That's how I discover artists. I don't discover artists like just randomly. A lot of times I see collaboration. like Caleb Gordon collaborate, Big Breeze, KB, or signed to like a label, a Christian hip hop label. But for what I heard, I was listening to this interview by Doc Watson. I don't know if you know who Doc Watson is. He's the co-founder of RMG, which is their miners label as well. And so they put out big amounts of artists. And so one of the advice that they gave to him, I think it was Apple Music, is they told him, they said, you guys need to look more like a unified front, like the industry in general. And so for some reason, he said when I don't know what was the overall, I can't remember the end part of that, but for some reason, when you look more like a unified front, it helps us to look more, it helps us with growing our brand.
Yeah.
Look like a unified front. And so I think that Reach has been a big part of trying to do that. Like Kingdom Tour, like I said, Kirk Franklin, Maverick City collab, Kingdom. Although all that music was like old reused music, it still exposed people to music that was that they might not have heard before. And so that was kind of more of like a showcase, in my opinion, like a showcase album. But yeah, just that's kind of really what it is. And collaborate, collaborate. And the second advice I gave was kind of pretty much the same thing. And the third piece of advice I would give is being at the right place, right time, networking, spaces. And then also for Christians, I think one thing is that I personally don't think that we have to necessarily blend in. I think when we be our unique selves, that's when we can truly become our best. Because Caleb Gordon, people are loving his song. I mean, you've seen it, and he's authentically himself and still presenting the gospel like on like a big scale. And so that's one thing too, authentically be yourself, but also be in a room with try to network, collaborate as often as you can. And so that's one big thing too, because a lot of people, like music industry, right place, right time. That's really what a lot of careers boil down to, is like, like Michael Jackson, like he was in the right room, right time. He's from Gary, Indiana. Where's that at? Nobody knows what that was until, but he made it into the right space, the right time, and took off from there. Like that nobody talks. I don't know what people talk about that, but like that right space, right place changes everything. And those relationships, also word of mouth, helps you take off too. That's also a part of being in the right place, right time.
Hey family, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are and you have yet to subscribe to us here on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And also, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast and you have yet to leave us a 5-star review, please do so. Now back to the episode. No, you're 100% right. And, I want to kind of like tag along with what you just said in terms of authenticity. Like you mentioned Caleb Gordon, who's very known, who has been growing very fast lately. And, I wanted to ask you your take, because you mentioned that being the fact he's authentic, he's not blending in, and being himself. Do you think, to help chip at the market share, because you have two different side on this, where people say it's okay and some people say it's not, in terms of, collaborating with artists who may not be, quote unquote, a Christian artist versus an artist who is, there's two different take in the industry, and it's kind of going back to like the unified front. It's like, I feel like that because of that argument that's happening in the industry, it kind of stops, this movement of trying to pack it. So I want to ask, what is your perspective on this?
Me personally, I think that I think it's okay, but I feel like if excuse me, I think if you are influencing, like if you are influencing them and you are that means like if they're doing a feature, like you're saying, hey, no cussing, like all these things, like no, we're not doing sin, none of that. You know what I mean? And so I think that's that. I think if it's in that vein,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay, because I don't think. I mean, I think people get tied up because music is so influential. And music has such power to influence people. Like, and lyrics last forever. Song lyrics last
Yeah.
forever. Music lasts forever, lasts for a while, and so I think that's why a lot of people get up in arms and duking out on the internet because of that. But
Yeah.
personally, if you really look at what people do, people work with people who in the industry all the time. People work with, like, when people work Christians for a job, like we're working out in the field, like with people who probably are non-believers.
Yeah.
Like, you're in that all the time. So it's not like it's not like it's not like it's any different. But the main thing is that the influence and the voice is louder because
Yeah.
it's influential. But I don't have an issue with it as long as they're not influencing you, you're influencing them. And so I think if you're influencing them and you're not letting their principles be a part of this song, but they're doing like a testimony or something like that, or they're doing like, sharing like their verse, Bible verse, or they're doing a chorus. I love how Cray has, will sometimes have secular artists do choruses. And for me, I think it's for him, from what I see when I listen, I think it's more of like a sound that he's going for, an execution. I don't think it's necessarily the artist. It's more. It feels like it's more like a sound and execution thing.
Okay.
It could be a missional thing too. You never know.
Yeah.
Like people say, the conversations is going on behind doors. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. I don't think personally there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I think there should be some limitations to it. But yeah, that's my opinion.
And I could definitely understand your opinion. And going on that conversation of influence, I want to ask, who are some of the biggest inspiration in the Christian hop industry? Like, who are some people who has inspired you as a DJ, as a person in this Christian industry so far?
Yeah, for me, KB and Lecrae were two of KB, Lecrae, and Minio. Those are my three. KB, I love his music. I love his flow. I love his lifestyle that he lives. And he's kind of more like very theological in his music. He always is like, I can just think about a couple songs that he's written. This one song, like he's always really trying to push for a kingdom lifestyle in his music. He's never really shied away from it. And I think that's really why I like his music so much. And he has a good energy in his music. Like he always has this, he always brings it on, like the execution energy side. There's one song that he made, I think it's called New Portrait. Yeah, New Portrait. And he just talks about, like, first, I'm a child of the kingdom, and second, I'm African American. It's like, like he was addressing how at the moment in the culture that people were really embracing it felt like they were embracing their race over their Christianity. So, man, look, I'm bringing it back. And so that's why I love him. And then Lecrae, I love Lecrae's transparency. I think that's an underrated aspect of Christianity, is transparency, which is essentially a testimony. But testimonies are great, but I think transparency is like actually, it's a little bit more of like where I'm at in life and actually what's really going on with me, versus like testimonies, like your come to Jesus moment, like, like this is something that I did, here's something I was going through. But I think transparency is more like I'm struggling with this. I'll be honest with y'all. I like that about him, and he's very like he's himself, And he's confident in who he is. I read his book, two books, Restoration and Unashamed. And he's very educated. And he really, like the way he worded things in those books was really great. And then Andy Mineo, also Lecrae. Yeah, Lecrae's music is great. There's always something inspiring me, motivating me. Andy Mineo, he loves Jesus. I wouldn't say he's as theological and as a KB. He kind of comes more from he's kind of more like he comes from like more of a journey aspect. Like he's on this journey. He's just kind of figuring it out, and he's kind of like deconstructing. Like his album Sword was really good. EP Sword was good. And I like him too because he's very creative. Like he has his own like creativity, and I think creatively he probably inspires me the most out of the three. Like because of how creative he is and how outside of a box he is outside of Christian industry or Christian hip hop industry, and how much he like how even the way he dresses, like he's best probably top 5 dresser CHH. That he dresses, swag, his coolness. Like he's a Christian, so his walk with Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, his overall just like swag, personality, like he's a character. So that's kind of what I really enjoy about him is that's how those three influenced me.
No, I could definitely relate to you and to my Lecrae because that was who when I first got introduced to Christian hip hop. Lecrae, who I listened to, and Andy Mio. They did like a couple of songs back in the day. Forgot this other guy. I think he did. I'm gonna worship you until I pass out. Uncle Reese. That's some people that that's definitely influenced me in the Christian faith. I want to kind of like switch gears a bit and talk more about your DJ. What led you to become a DJ? What inspired you to want to become a Christian DJ? Let me ask you that first. What inspired you to want to become a Christian DJ?
So for me, I was at my dad's. My dad's a pastor, and they had a block party, and at this block party, I had a bunch of Christian music, basically Christian hip hop mostly, a little bit of like Christian R&B, and like Lil Kent Jones, if you know who that is. And so I just played the music for the event, and so I had my laptop, I was playing music, and I just had this big catalog of Christian music, and so I basically DJ'd it with no turntables. And just basically played all the music that I had on. I created a playlist, set a playlist up. And then that night I went home and I was like, man, I want to be a DJ. But at the time I was really starting to follow Jesus. And so I was like, well, I want to be a Christian DJ. And so I like doing this, Christian music. I like this, I like this whole Christian music vibe. And so from there, I just went ahead and was like, yeah, this is it. And then I started DJing with the campus ministry that I was a part of when I was at WKU. And then ever since I was in college, I was always DJing for a campus ministry. And then I got to the point where people, like I was posting on social media and people asked me to DJ events, like different events locally, and do different things. And so I took a hiatus for a little bit, and I was like married for a short period of time, took a hiatus, and then I came back like 2019, the end of 2019 was when I started back going hard. And so from there, it's just kind of been like I was already kind of like, I had a lot of connections there, and we starting to tap in, and then I just kind of like shut it down. But then I brought it back, and it's just shot up since then. Like it's just
Thank God, thank God for that. And, kind of leading one to ask, because it's two that I want to ask, and I guess you can answer how you feel like. Is one, how has your faith helped you in this journey as a DJ? You mentioned how you started DJing as a Christian, as a new believer, and like how has that changed from that time you started to where you are? Like, how has your faith affect you in terms of DJing?
It's really helped me to um, be confident in who I am, because there was a period where I felt like I was really trying to I wasn't trying to necessarily blend in, but I was trying to mix in like a couple like clean family secular songs, and I was trying to have that as like be kind of like my career was doing that. But then I just was like, I got to the point where I was kind of like I had a gig and it was like probably the most amount of money that I could have ever made, and I turned it down. I was like, man, like
Oh,
I don't think I should do this. And so that after that, I just noticed a shift in my career where I was like, all right, I'm gonna go all in. I'm not gonna do this some more, because I feel like even though I'm trying to do this like clean, kind of like also Christian hip hop every now and then I add to my music. I don't want to I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. And so from then on, I was like, I'm not gonna walk on eggshells no more. And so when I walk by faith and not by sight, and just kind of like God started to build my faith. And I was listening to this sermon by Mike Todd. I can't remember what it was. It was probably Crazy Faith or something like that. It just inspired me. And then from then on, I was like, I'm gonna commit to this. I'm gonna commit to, just DJing predominantly Christian music. And I have weddings sometimes and they'll play old school stuff. I'm like, that's cool with me. But for the most part, like 99% of the time, I'm 100% of the time, actually 100% of the time, Christian music. And so it just really, it really helped me to like really buying into who God made me to be, really just kind of helped me stand in rooms and just be confident and just be like, be happy and be cool comfortable knowing that there is money that I'm missing out on. There's probably, I could probably do this for a living as a secular DJ.
Yeah.
Realizing that it'll be all worth it in the end.
That's very I commend you for doing that, because oftentimes it's like, being a Christian. I think I was talking to on another interview, and we were talking about how being a Christian, specifically a Christian artist, is very difficult, because the same people that that you want to listen to your music, want to come to your event and things that sort. The one time you may put out a bad album or you may made a wrong mix, is like they cancel you, and it's like they hold on to that. Compared to like Rihanna, Beyonce, they're more forgiving. In that space, and it's like I understand. Like even being in the space, I realized that as Christians, we need to show more grace to each other and like encourage one another, because it's not easy to want to step out when the world is completely against you and they pushing different things. So I truly commend you in regards to that. And I want to kind of like continue that conversation in terms of finance. How do you manage the financial aspect of DJing, such as investing in equipment, promoting your brand, booking? Like, what are some tips you can give people in regards to the financial aspect of being a DJ, Christian DJ?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first time I think I've ever had that type of question before, because it's been something that I've really just gotten better over the years at. For me, as far as equipment, as far as things, I always tell people you don't have to buy it all at once. Build, eventually grow, and also for DJing, for pricing, have packages. One of my friends, she had recommended. She was like, I don't have lighting. I don't have lighting. I don't have 2 or 3 sets of speakers. Like I don't have all of the things, but so I have to rent a lot of time. And so what she said, she was like, get a package. She was like, get a rental package. She was like, if I got to rent special equipment, these are your rental rates. as well, on top of the hourly rate that I have already. And so that kind of helped me to like mitigate that expense, which I still think personally, I think I probably should increase that number a little bit. I'm always like wanting to increase something. But yeah, just kind of mitigate the risk and go from there. And for me, also, I think for as far as charging people, definitely, I think there are times where it is perfectly okay with taking less than what you're worth. Sometimes I think, like, you know, especially if you look at like some big events, like if you get like a big platform and you're able to do it, but they want a little bit of discount. I think people should take that, because like if people look at the long-term value, like let's say you do an event and you make your original is 600, but they only want to pay you $400-$500 long term. If you get 3 or 4 more gigs out of that, and they want to give you your rate, like you've already made that $200 back. So it's really not like a loss. And so I tell people look at the long term. And that's how I look even with like buying equipment. Like I said, long term, like know what you have and understand and know that most people don't really know a lot about DJing. So like really you could buy, like I had these like really like basic level controllers. They call them controllers, not turntables. Basic level controllers for like majority of my career, and people were still booking me for shows, and still artists were still wanting me to DJ, like and the gigs went well and stuff like that. And so that's one thing. Now when people get to the major leagues, that's a whole different ballpark. But at that point, when people get to the major leagues where they're DJing for like the big names and the big shows, like at that point, the person should be able to afford some of the bigger equipment that they need in order to go. And then, but yeah, work with what you have. But yeah, work with what you have. Buy your equipment piece by piece. You don't have to buy it all at once. You don't have to come out with this $2 or $3 grand setup from the jump. And then also tax write-off. What else did I say? Pricing. Don't be afraid to take a loss. If you know there's a good chance there's going to be a gain later. And then the fourth thing is tax write-offs. Like write off everything. Write off as much as you can. Like I write off Apple. I write off my Apple Music account. Like I write off any type of car expense. Like I use my car to get to and from opportunities, like Wi-Fi. I use my Wi-Fi. I use Wi-Fi for everything. Like cell phone. Like I have to use my cell phone for gigs. Like any equipment that you buy. Like any car stuff. Car stuff is expensive. Like write off everything. Write off as much as you can. Anything you think of that was like, I had this tax lady. She kind of like clued me in. She was like, yeah, doctor bills, anything you could think of that you have that's connected to what you do, write it off. I got to get better at writing off gas. But yeah, oil changes, everything you could think of that has to do with getting back. Like I'm about to write off a flight I booked to go to an event. Like anything you can get, anything that they'll let you write off, go for it.
Right. No, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And, you know, I want to kind of like ask you a question based on what you said, you know, in terms of opportunity. Because oftentimes, you know, ego can play a role, you know, when you see opportunity. Because, like, you know, you can say you're worth $1,000, but, you know, people only see you worth at $600. And oftentimes, you know, that could be the reason why people don't get where they need to get to because of their ego. And the question I want to ask is, you know, how can people, you know, upcoming DJ who wants to work with a current artist or a big time artist, like how can they position themselves to be able to seize an opportunity like that And how have you done that in any case like that, where you was able to not let your ego get the best of you in that situation and still see this opportunity as what could be long term?
One thing I did was I asked people, what's their budget? What's your budget? And I realized, and it was validated by this guy. I can't remember who he was, but he did some interview on Earn Your Leisure. You probably know who they are, but he did an interview with them, or he did a video, and he just asked people name their price, like name their price, ask them what their budget is, because a lot of times, like especially churches, will have like really small, not all of them, but some of them will have really small budget. Religious organizations have, from time to time, will have really like small budgets. And so it helps you to start a conversation with them versus eliminating yourself. So when you eliminate yourself, you already have a price. You say, I set prices at $100 an hour, $200 an hour, something like that. You're worth, like you said, $1,000. If you come out and you say $1,000 versus asking them like, hey, what's your budget? That kind of helps. That kind of helps you know what to expect. And that kind of helps you be able to think through what they're doing. And then if you want to negotiate, you be like, hey, can you throw in an extra 100? Or can you meet me halfway to that number? But you got to really just negotiate. You got to be good at negotiating, and you can't be afraid. You gotta know, obviously know your numbers, but definitely like negotiation is definitely, I think, the key to kind of like being in those rooms and like understanding your worth is definitely. I think negotiation. So the question I always ask, like I said, is what's your budget? What's your budget? Because you just ask that question. It just kind of like, and then also too, sometimes like when you ask somebody what's their budget could be worth more than what you originally charge. And so when their budget is higher than what you originally charged, it just kind of like, you win. It's a win-win. They value you, overvalue you. So it's a blessing. And so that's why I always, that's one question I have in there. And I have my rates on there, but then I'll still have under there, it'll say, what's your budget?
No, I think that's a very great question to ask, because, when you think about in the corporate world, people undermine themselves, because they're so quick to say what they're worth instead of asking the question, what is your budget? Because, they can have a budget of 100,000, but you're saying, 70,000 is good for me. Now you just missed out on the whole $30,000. And I can see how it can also apply as a DJ. I want to ask you just two more questions as a wrap up this interview. One is, what are three things a DJ can do to provide the most maximum value in order to continue to grow their business? Like, what are three things that, a DJ, this will have them continue, if you want to come back to you on a constant basis, like, okay, this DJ did this, so I'm going to rebook him. Because, there's a difference between good DJs and there's some bad DJs that you don't want to ever bring back. So what are three things that, a DJ should do to provide the most maximum value?
Be professional. And make it easy to do business with you. For me, I have an invoice that I had somebody created last year. I also have an inquiry form, and the inquiry form basically has like questions like, what equipment do I need to bring? What like somebody needed like, and then as I've gone on, it adds to it. I'll add to it. Like, what type of music do y'all want? Like, making it easy for me to do business with people has been the biggest thing. I feel like people continuously come back. It's like, oh, we just pay him. Boom, he's in, he's out. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then easy to work with as far as like the budget thing. I think the budget thing adds so much value because it kind of takes the pressure off of them to be like, oh, I know how much, I know you charge this, and this, but it kind of takes pressure of like, oh, he wants to know my budget. Okay. And then that starts a negotiation conversation. I think that adds value. because it shows kind of like, in my opinion, I think it shows kind of like that you care. And then also, I would say definitely trying to figure out how to word this one. But I think knowing good music, like being able to know good music, and not even just knowing good music, but knowing good music that caters to the crowd that you're DJing. I think a lot of times, I don't think this happens all the time, but I think sometimes some people can, like I think for like bad DJs, I feel like they just kind of play, whatever.
Yeah.
Or they'll just kind of play. Their catalog isn't that great, or it's old, or it's not updated, or it's just all these different things. I mean, bad DJs, you can think of like reasons and why they don't maybe not connect with the crowd or something like that. But play music. Play music that people will dance to, or that will get people out the crowd or get their head nodding. Because a lot of times, sometimes what I'll do is, when I'm around my friends, or I'm out in different places, or I have music playing in the car, people say, "What's that song?" I'm like, "Okay, I need to play that when I DJ." You know what I mean? Or when I see people nodding or people dancing to something that I have, and that's definitely something I'm like, okay, I need to play that. So it's discernment, definitely having discernment, but definitely being able to read people and understand how people move and what people like, and understanding like what people move, what people like, and then what songs are hot. You got to know that. You got to know what songs are popular, and you can't be afraid to. You got to get out of the way of a hit. You can't be in the way of a hit. And when I say that because there's songs that are Christian that maybe you don't like. And even in the secular world, there's songs that maybe you don't like, but the crowd loves them. And so your value add is that you are playing music that the crowd likes to get them engaged. And so if you can't do that, if you're trying to consistently break music and trying to bring this whole new music and all these things and bring your vision, then you're probably not going to get invited back. I'll just be honest with you. You're probably not going to get invited back. And then the third one is, I would say marketing. Marketing definitely, staying top of mind, posting stories, social media. And then for me, I create playlists for people. Like I think there's two ministries that I was a part of a couple of years ago. They still use my playlists. Like I have Christmas playlists. I have a Christmas playlist, Christian R&B, Christian hip hop. But there's got to be a way where I don't create these just to stay top of mind, but I create them because I love music and I love what I do. But marketing, social media, and then also I feel like with the venue and the space that you're a part of, I feel like you should be helping them promote in some type of way, and sharing the event information. I think that adds value and keeps people coming back because of that. But yeah, definitely, I definitely think those three things can definitely help. Discernment, understanding the crowd, and then one of the ones was marketing, and then being easy to do business with. I think those three can definitely help. Customer service on any standpoint is it's just it's just a way of life with any business, no matter what industry you're part of. And so that's kind of how I've kind of built my names. I feel like customer service, people recommend me. People say, I heard about, I got a wedding coming up. And it was because I did her friend's wedding. I did her friend's wedding, and now they want to DJ me. They want me to DJ their wedding. So it's just kind of like being also being good. Like discernment is also being good. Like being good. If you're good, like, and you're easy to work with, go a long way. That discernment, being good, just knowing what's going on, keeping what's going on and what people like. Yeah, that's definitely how you can add long-term value.
And I guess to add to that, being discerning, like what's some resource that, people should, take advantage of? What are some apps that you use, to help you stay up to date and what kind of music? 'Cause I can just imagine there's a lot of different artists as we spoke about in this Christian community. So what some resources can you give so people can stay up to date, work on their skills, develop,
As far as discovering new music, definitely, I think Spotify is really good with that. For me, I don't really use Spotify. I use Apple Music, um, and um, I've discovered enough artists to, um, and I've kind of been so like follow so many people in the space that um, kind of have an idea of how I'm gonna find new music, and I kind of know how I'm, gonna find stuff and keep track of stuff. You can follow people can follow me, or they can follow like the GMA Dove. They post new music all the time. Following the artists, like if you see an artist um, and they're new and up and coming, um, follow them. Follow Reach Records. Follow them. They drop a playlist, every summer playlist every year. Go So Radio, GMA Gospel Dove Awards. I think Gospel Music Buzz, I want to say. But following those people, and then also myself, is definitely a great way to stay up to date. As far as playlist order and things of that sort, um, that's kind of more of, I would say, kind of like a YouTube thing. Um, Going on YouTube and figuring out. Sometimes I'll go on there and I'll see like how to DJ a festival, how to DJ a wedding. Sometimes like how to DJ a conference or something like that. Going on there and finding resources is definitely a thing. But also like with music, with understanding like okay, a wedding, people are ready to party.
yeah.
Conference, like I did a Christian conference, and um, uh, people are rolling in. Not everybody's there, so I save my best songs for when we get closer to time, because I know more people will have already arrived. So I know I have a bigger crowd, so it makes it more explosive, because I'll play like in the beginning, I'll play like my kind of exploratory songs that I
Yeah.
experimental songs that I think might not be what they like, but I'm gonna try them out because because I like them and I know they're dope. But then I'm gonna try like coming in hot Lecrae towards the end. But that's the way that I kind of keep track of stuff like that is social media and see what people are posting, like what people are posting. Get an idea. Like I have some some younger friends that are part of the youth group, and I just kind of like, I'm like, well, they share stuff, they post stuff, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And so kind of just that kind of like following people who know good music, and then just for me, like I just yeah, and also too like you kind of gotta have a good ear, like.
Right.
You gotta have that ear. If you don't have the ear, it's kind of like um I don't know. And also I feel like a part of it is kind of growing up listening to good music too. I feel like um if you grew up like listening to a bunch of different music, I feel like you kind of have a better idea of you know what hits, what doesn't. And practice. Just keep practicing, keep going. Like I had events where people were just sitting there, like just sitting there,
Wow.
and I've had events where people dancing the whole time. And so just like kind of understand and know, like you're not gonna hit everyone,
Yeah.
and it's also you got to understand the event, you got to understand the people, got to understand that like some people gonna sit down. It's just what it is, just how they are, just how they flow, and how they do things. Or some people don't know the music, and that's something you gotta give yourself grace too as well.
That's important. No,
Yeah.
I definitely like that. Talking about giving yourself grace. I want to kind of thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity. And my last question is, where do you see yourself evolve? Where do you see yourself going as a DJ? Where do you see your career evolving over time in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see yourself as a DJ in the next 5 to 10 years?
Um, 5 to 10 years as a DJ. hopefully I want to do more conferences. I feel like more conferences are on the way. More Christian conferences are on the way. And I really would love to, if possible, do like a winter jam, like like a big Christian tour where I can be kind of like the featured DJ and play music as people coming in. That's kind of where I see myself. And then it would be cool to get picked up by an artist, like to be their feature guy, KB or Lecrae, something like that, or somebody like kind of up and coming, someone who doesn't have a DJ already currently, because I don't want to occupy somebody else's space, but definitely see that. Also, I really enjoy the entertainment industry. Like when I say entertainment, like doing podcasts like these and creating a platform. That's kind of where I see myself being. Like I have a thing that I'm kind of working on. I won't dive too much into it, but like creating something for Christian DJs, like creating a platform for the space to be accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see myself in 5 to 10 years, more entrepreneurial, more of an automated business where it kind of runs itself versus like getting out here and doing these, like gigs. But I still like, I'm an extrovert. So I love being in the space where, like I love traveling and going places and being in spaces where people are at and enjoying music. So I think I'll be doing that for a while, but definitely that's where I see myself at 5 to 10 years is DJing for artists, or for DJing for artists, going on tour, or in Christian conferences. I think those 3. Oh, and weddings too. I think those 4, and then made a platform. I think those 5 things will kind of be like different like buckets that I'll have in my life, avenues of making money.
That's great. I look forward to seeing you do all these different things. And, for those who are listening, I hope you guys don't see as another entrepreneur, another person sharing their story and how God has blessed them. I hope this encourages you. I hope this inspires you. And you're looking for a group of Christians who are working toward becoming financially free. Look no further and join the Pray Invest group. And for those who may want to connect with you, where can they follow you and stay in touch with you?
So you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Rome.116, and you can also follow me on TikTok at DJ Rome.116. So where else? Facebook at DJ Rome.116. You can find me there, and you can just add me on Facebook, Jerome Hill. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not a big superstar where my friends or something like that. You can add me on there, and we can be best friends.
Not a problem. Definitely want to say thank you again. And for those who are listening, I hope this inspires you again, and see you guys next week.